I'd take a minute just to make a video off the cuff. The last video I did was Bonchan interview, and I realized some other memories came back to me, and one of them was that was actually, NCR was the first time I'd been sponsored by the subreddit streetfighter, for which I want to say thank you very much to you guys. I have no idea if the same people are still there or not. Joe Monday, I believe, hasn't been around. That guy was, so great, and I actually had dinner with him a couple of times, and we hung out, and he went through at some point towards the end of my sort of association or desire to carry on, he was going through an extremely rough patch, for which I did reach out to him a couple of times, but I still not sure I had the maturity or ability to help. I wanted to, but he was very hard on himself about something that had happened, and I have no idea. So I hope he's doing well. I really do. I hope he's doing well, because anyway, our Street Fighter, it's really random. Somebody, and I'm really sorry because I've forgotten. I always forget names. I've got a really terrible long-term memory. It's for me, it's almost feels like a disability. It's like I just cannot remember details. I know I have like a sort of creative mind, and I know how to problem solve, and I know how to think on my feet and all that stuff, and that's partly because the other part of my brain just doesn't retain knowledge, so I have to improvise. So it's never that I don't appreciate people. That old saying, I think people may not remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Like, that's sort of how I operate. So I remember how certain people made me feel. And there was someone on our Street Fighter who at the time said we should sponsor Born Free. He's a content creator, and it was the first time I think one of these subreddits had decided to sponsor a content creator. It was a complete surprise to me. It had nothing to do with me. It was just a guy who liked my stuff, and it gained momentum, and that's what they decided to do. And it was also had to do with the fact that our Kappa had always been sponsoring players, and they wanted to do, and I guess our Street Fighter wanted to sort of embrace the community, the large community, and do something positive. So they wanted to sponsor me to go to NCR, hence that's why there's so many NCR interviews, is because I felt that if someone's putting their money behind me to pay for the plane, to pay for the hotel, then I'm going to deliver. And I remember actually feeling like I've got to get this Bonchan interview. 100% got to get the Bonchan interview. Like, I have to deliver like some of these big names. Chris G, I think I was interviewing on my way out. I think I'd already checked out my bags and was interviewing him in the lobby, I want to say. So there's people just wandering around and stuff. But it was amazing. So the guys there at our Street Fighter just, they whipped up the money. I think it was done within like a few hours. Like, once they decided to do it, it was done within a few hours. And I think they might have designed a t-shirt for me back then for the first one, but they had or maybe they hadn't. But I think I was wearing the red, like, Geef Gyms t-shirt to rep our Street Fighter, and I may have put our Street Fighter in the edit as well in terms of thank yous and stuff like that, brought to you by our Street Fighter. I can't remember, to be honest. But something fascinating happened. This is my favorite, not my favorite, but like it's just one of those stories that sticks with me, I suppose. Somebody from our Kappa, so our Kappa and our Street Fighter were sort of going at it, right? Disliked each other because there was this sort of generalization that people on our Street Fighter defended Street Fighter 5 and our Kappa was sort of saying it's absolute trash. And you know, there was this sort of a clash. Whereas there were some people who sort of cruised across both. I did. I cruised across both, sort of looking in, seeing what's going on. And somebody had decided to take the sponsorship and turn it into a post on our Kappa and sort of say, haha, look at our Street Fighter, what idiots. They're sponsoring like a content creator or whatever. And I'll never forget this. They did not get the response they were expecting. Our Kappa just basically shut them down. Like the people on our Kappa at that time just shut them down and said, no, we like what he does. Seems like a good idea. You know, so it was pretty cool. And I actually got to know a few people who were sort of, one of them was a moderator on our Kappa, and some other people who spent a lot of time on there. And, you know, I was always very clear about, you know, really just trying to talk to players and see what their thoughts were. And it wasn't until later, I think, when I started getting more recognition and people wanted to hear from me, that I started to just say what I felt. But, you know, for me, nothing was black and white. There was always grey areas. And whilst the launch of Street Fighter V was pretty bad, once you got into the game itself, you know, I enjoyed it. You know, and it changed over the years. And there were times when people thought it was good, and then perhaps they patched it and people thought it was bad or whatever. It just was what it was. The other thing I forgot to mention about the Takedo, I mean, in my previous interview, I talked about the Bonchan previous video, I talked about the Bonchan interview, and then suddenly another memory came back to me last night. I think I remember a strategy that I was trying to employ, which was I wanted more Japanese people to be interviewed. So I wanted them to I needed something. I needed to be able to say to them, it's okay, and it will be great. And, you know, you never heard of me, but guess who has? Takedo. Because I'd interviewed Takedo twice, and he was like super happy to do interviews with me at that point. Like, we were starting to form a sort of respect for each other. And so I think I remember actually the guy who was the translator, and I'm really sorry I've forgotten your name, but he was actually a legend, that guy, the guy who did the translating. He was friends with Bonchan. I still can't remember how they met. I feel like maybe Bonchan spent some time in Northern California and they lived together or something. I can't remember exactly. But he was a legend, and I think we had I'm pretty sure we had a group chat where we had like maybe Bonchan in it, and possibly Fudo, not 100% sure. But that's how I ended up getting Bonchan and Fudo, was because of this guy, this translator. He was a good dude. He was a legendary dude. But yeah, mainly I just wanted to make this video, and I felt like one video just to say thank you to our Street Fighter and everybody on our Street Fighter and everybody else who maybe wasn't on our Street Fighter and just was a fan of my content, who put money in that pot to send me to NCR to get those interviews, because that Bonchan interview wouldn't have happened if not for that chain of events. And you know, even though I think, you know, a lot of people on our Street Fighter will defend our Street Fighter, the ones with critical thinking will and the ones who are like me, who can like something but also see where they've been let down or there are weaknesses. You can like something and still have problems with the way it launched. Or, for instance, I always had problems with the UX, like the user interface. I just felt that was really important for first-time players. And if it was really long loading screens and it didn't make sense and you couldn't change character between matches and all this stuff, it bugged me. And actually, when I recently played Street Fighter 6, I had some similar issues, even though it's they did such an amazing and better job than Street Fighter 5. I still found that when I logged onto Street Fighter 6, I was like, going into matches and it was on modern controls when I thought I'd switched it to classic, or whatever you want to call it, whatever it's called, sorry. Maybe one of these days I'll play Street Fighter 6 and have someone train me or something, I don't know. That could be fun. Although I'm not a fan of target combos, so I don't think that every time I try to go in there and play like Akuma, you know, the target combos is not something I'm interested in. I hate it. I hate target combos. I don't know if there are characters without target combos, but I think those are the ones that I'd probably be more drawn to be honest, which is kind of sad because I've always loved Akuma, but I've since been told that he's incredibly overpowered anyway. So anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say, because I've got to run down the street and get my little stepbrother a birthday present, because it's his birthday tomorrow, and also pop into a store that I handed my CV into and hassle them as to why they haven't even given me a phone call for a job. So we keep pushing through, we keep going, we keep moving. Anyway, just wanted to say that. Thanks guys, peace out.